when you bring back your Kurt Angle and you bring back these people, now what else is happening, bro? Now you're remembering what it was like when Kurt was in his prime. I mean, you're reminding people of, oh, wait a minute, man, when Kurt was the champion and when Kurt was around, man, this was a much better. You got to be careful, bro. You got to really be careful.
Let's talk about Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle is set to be a part of the WWE RAW in Pittsburgh, his hometown, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And so they've been bringing back some of these legends, these Hall of Famers, to get to kind of assimilate and just kind of create some type of on-ramp for people to watch the show, which I actually think that's not a terrible idea. Just as long as they're not being used just ridiculously. Trish being used was decent to me. She was in Toronto. Trish came. I think Trish probably had a lot to do with that 2 million mark. But that's the thing. Use the legends if you use the legends as an on-ramp, that brings more people there. But again, the retention matters. Right. So you're not just every week, you're not just going to be using a new legend from their hometown and bringing them in.
Right.
What does that look like to you, Vince, as far as like, okay, well, you're bringing the legends in to create a bridge to bring some casual fans back. But then the retention of them staying is the product. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, bro, I really think that they're doing it, to be honest with you, to get butts in seats. Yeah. I think they're really worried about the house, and they've got to get people in the house. I really believe that's why they're doing it. But it's like you said, Chris. It's like, again, bro, we're living in an era of pops. Pop. You can't do it every week, bro. Sooner or later, your talent is going to have to carry the show on their back. So that, again, bro, it can work against you because, I'm watching Raw. Oh, my God, Kurt Angle, big pop. And all of a sudden, man, maybe I should watch this week and see who shows up. Well, now nobody shows up, and you're getting Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano. And wait a minute, where's Kurt Angle?
Right.
Bro, you got, you can only go to that well so many times, bro,
Sure can. I 100% agree with that, man. And I think at the end of the day, like, because I broke the news that it's going to be a one-off based on sources. And so I think at the end of the day, like all these one-off appearances, it could bite them in the back because you're bringing it back in the older fans. Like you said, is going to be expecting that legend to come in every week. Now with Trish, I want to ask you this. Do you see Trish being further than a one-off? Do you think that this is building up something? Say, for instance, there's been a topic for a while of, Trish versus Sasha. That's been a conversation that's been running for some years now. Do you see maybe like a Trish and a Sasha coming around WrestleMania season?
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. I mean, they kind of did that with Lita. I could definitely see that. And bro, here's another thing too. Like when you bring back your Kurt Angle and you bring back these people, now what else is happening, bro? Now you're remembering what it was like when Kurt was in his prime. I mean, you're reminding people of, oh, wait a minute, man, when Kurt was the champion and when Kurt was around, man, this was a much better. You got to be careful, bro. You got to really be careful.
Especially if you have, like, think of it this way, Vince. Especially if you have the legendary WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle in Pittsburgh coming out. So you're having a bunch of the Pittsburgh crowd, because you have to think about it because my undergrad's in PR. So you got to think about it from a PR and advertising and marketing standpoint, right? So I'm sure that he's on all types of radio shows, or at least radios are going to announce on Pittsburgh's own Watch Raw. So within that day, you're getting all of that PR and that media and that advertising, bringing butts and maybe bringing eyes to the product because Kurt Angle is going to be on there, right? So you have, an opening segment of Kurt Angle. Same thing with Trish. Toronto's own Trish Stratus is going to be on Raw tonight on every, so many radio stations locally. So you having all of those people eyed on that, right? Same thing with Angle. All these people eyed on Raw for Angle. Okay, that's cool of a segment. And then for the next segment to be like a Gargano on the Theory, they're like, okay, cool. So we have all these eyes on Angle locally, Pittsburgh's own, a bunch of people from Pittsburgh watching the show. And then they see this and they're like, oh, one of these things are not like the other, right? So that's what it looks like.
Absolutely.
So speaking of that, that's a good actually segue, and I don't like doing actual segues. I like butchering segues, but it's a good segue to Triple H. Triple H's Raw. Now he's being heralded for breaking the 2 million mark. So that recently happened under Raw on the Triple H regime. Do you have similar thoughts regarding that? As far as Triple H, do you think people are still tied to the hype and bringing back people because of the hype? Do you think it'll be consistent? What are your thoughts on that?
Bro, I think a lot of people turned off NXT when a lot of people got fired. I think a lot of people turned off NXT when Triple H was taken off of it and Vince took over. Nobody liked the makeover, bro. I mean, people were, and I think a lot of people turned off of that. I think those people are now tuning into Raw. That's what I think has pushed them over the 2 million mark. But I'm going to say it again, bro. You got to sustain that number. You got to be able to do it every week.
Yeah, to me, the pull aparts, the weekly pull aparts, and the still variations of the same match and things like that. I think the shelf life isn't going to be too long for that. So what I'm really hoping with Triple H being someone who watch old school tape, knows about the Crippler Ray Stevens, knows about the Pat Pattersons, knows about those, menacing heels and really beloved baby faces. I really hope that he gets back into the character development of these wrestlers, and that he realized that you can't make everybody happy at the same time. I mean, that's the big can't everybody be that you can't have 30 number one contenders for the world championship. There's a pocket of people who you're pushing right now, and then the other ones they keep developing their character, and then they build back up to get that spot. And that's the thing, man. Again, I say this all the time. Years ago, I heard Steve Austin just articulate it beautifully. A main event talent is either chasing the title, has the title, or gets into a feud that causes them to detour away from the chase. And I think that right there, that consistently makes a main eventer and keeps a main eventer. Taker wasn't always in the title hunt. Austin wasn't always in the title hunt. Foley wasn't always in the title hunt. But they weren't doing 50-50 mid-card matches either, right? So that really makes a big difference when it comes to making someone a star. And I hope Triple H does that and understands that.
Bro, see, that's the thing, Chris. Everything you just said, bro, a lot of thought, a lot of thinking, a lot of obsession needs to go into these shows in order to pull all of that off. Bro, all me and Ed had to worry about was writing the show. That's it. When you're a Triple H, bro, and you're wearing all these different hats, you just don't have the time for the details, bro. This is a full-time job. You can't be doing anything else. You can't be in talent relations meeting. This is a full-time job. And that, to me, that's going to be the problem. Because, bro, if I was doing other things while I was writing, we would not have been successful.
That's a really good point. as far as not having a bunch of other hats on while
Yeah,
you're trying
it
to
is.
write the show. I agree
Yeah.
with that 100%. And you can tell that it's diluted because of that.
Yep,
The product is
absolutely.
diluted, and you keep throwing things in segments that don't matter
Right.
just to fill the time. You know, what I mean, that's what Raw feels like.
Yep.
You're not concentrating on it so much, and you're just throwing fluff in there just to compensate for the 3 hour time slot. And it's like you have, I said this all the time on Pancakes and Power Slams on my show. Listen, you have the time. Raw is 12 hours a month.
Yep.
You have plenty of time to spend and invest in a good storyline. It's not like you're trying to pack a bunch of stuff all at once. You have time to draw out really good storylines and really focus on developing characters of all the people that's on the Raw roster. You have the time for that, but it feels just artificial so much because you're throwing 24/7 segments in there. Although I'm happy that we don't see a lot of 24/7 segments with Triple H. I think that's one of the best things that I've seen from Triple H.
I agree.
Is that just ditching that 24/7 thing. But even with Vince's era, you would see a bunch of 24/7. You would see a bunch of 50/50s. You would see a bunch of just meaningless backstage interviews. I'm really hoping that they spend more time with the 3 hours that they have every week, really developing characters. Why do I want to know about this person? Why do I want to know about Dexter Loomis, for instance? Make that a thing. Really spend time to hone in this character.